Well, here we are, hoping for sunshine but planning for rain. And I'm getting myself in gear to get back to Saskatchewan, collect my things, and return. Things are coming down fast. I looked last night and there's already provincial threats of provincial highway closure. It's in the government stuff. You have to really dig in to find it. So I need to get there and get my butt back here. You know, there's nothing like a crisis to help you make shifts in your life. And I've been in a shift for sure. My place in Saskatchewan has been a place I healed for 10 years. It means a lot to me. But I've been hanging on way past its due date for sure, out of comfort. And really to get myself to this point again where I could get out there and speak my truth, since I got the crap kicked out of me 10 years ago. It was a cumulative thing. A lot's changed in that time, and I've had the opportunity through growing as a person and seeing the world from a different set of eyes than where I started, but also having to greatly humble myself and go back to doing things that I knew how to do. I'm pretty innovative. I've done a lot of things. I've been in the service industry. I've bartended. I've cooked. I've line cooked. I've dishwashed. I've done the salad bar. I've run restaurants, run hostels, marketed, had a retail store, created my own brands, food company. 10 years ago, I started cutting my own hair. I decided early on I was never going to be so specialized I couldn't move and groove, because I left room for myself to change. And sometimes changes are thrust upon us and we must respond. And it's really those who have developed some sort of humbleness in their lives that don't get daunted so much by these things. Because, see, that's the hard part of all of this that's going to happen. First, it's a battle of ego. I'm not saying by any means that we lay down and take this shit. Don't get me wrong. Not at all. But what I'm saying is that this virus is just a cover for the massive shifts that are getting ready. They're in motion to happen, to get the show on the road for Agenda 2030 and to meet those sustainable goals. Those sustainable goals are more corporately targeted. It's about their sustainability. This is where companies are going to go down. Some will rise and some will fall. This is about streamlining our world. That's why this race to 5G. Because the race, and now this virus, is the need for the 5G. They're creating it. It's in creation. They know exactly how it's going to shift now. It's already been decided. This is going to take a lot of people by surprise because we've been taught to be planners, to plan for our future, to be responsible. And all too many people in the middle class are overstretched. We know that. In all sorts of ways. The poor as well. This is going to make the poor more dependent. I'm already seeing it written that they are going to be calling, or might be, for seniors for 4 months isolation. You got to know that all of this is as psychological. It's honestly entirely psychological, designed to break us down. A lot of small businesses aren't going to make it. So if you work for a small business, it's going to be tough. How are they going to do it? The corporations will be able to hang on a little more, but there's lots that were floundering there too. We're the same as everybody in the world, that we are actually all victims of this. And our problem here is that, well, number one, the big problem was that it started in China. How convenient. Because there's a significant, well, language barrier. And of course, when the state controls the media and then arrests the doctor, the first one who came forward, with what he thought was SARS, that turned out to be this COVID-19, and made him sign a paper that said he was not going to spread rumors. Then he died. That's convenient. In any case, we've got a bunch of psychopaths running the world. We've got our leaders underground, in hiding. Or they might as well be. There's no leadership here. We are being subjected to the media being our news source and the government just coming out with releases when they're ready. We need to be very angry at our government because they've left us to the dogs. They have. I watched that coronavirus map and I love animating it. And I start watching it the way it goes and just vectors out. And how it drops here and drops here and drops here. And we're in the middle, okay, so the Midwest of the United States and where I'm at in the prairies, it's moved its way from around the world and into the interior. It's odd because certainly there were a lot of people traveling up until cases were spotted not even 4 days ago were the first Saskatchewan cases. I don't think it's being transmitted like they said. I don't. I'm starting to think that it hasn't been person-to-person transmission at all. Starting to think. It's come from those aerosols. Today, yesterday, I get on Flight Radar all the time because I'm a geek. I like to look all over the world and I kind of know some of the bigger players. Seriously, it's like a video game. I've hated those, but I like this. This is fun. And I noticed these spheres over South America, over Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia, and just heading a bit into Brazil. And when I clicked on it, there was no air traffic, which was really weird. There's usually a lot more. It's usually quite a bit less than the United States, but it's definitely not off the map. And what I noticed was there was areas in Africa and in South America, where this area, that had no air flights except for these spheres. So I zoom in and I discover Project Loon. Have you ever heard of that? It's a Google invention. And what it is, it started around 2014, and what they do is they launch these balloons. And they are supposedly responsible for restoring internet connectivity in Puerto Rico after the hurricane. And if that's their mission, they're all flying right now. There's a bunch of them. Get on Flight Radar 24. Beeline into Ecuador, Colombia. You'll see it when you get on the South American map. And they're flying all in the area that's the area I saw as a COVID-19 areas. Also remarkably close to nature sanctuaries and things like that. And I'm going to post these on my Facebook, so take a look. Apparently, this has been going on for a while. And there's been all these sightings in the last year, particularly. More and more sightings of these objects that no one can describe. Now, normally, Project Loon balloons are found on the flight radar. But I have seen the very same, once I saw a picture of it, I realized what I've been seeing for about a year and a half in total. I've seen them up in the sky. I've seen them here. They're here. There's one here every night. There's one in Regina I've seen. I've also seen one in Ecuador where I was staying. It was in the same place every single night. And what I learned about Project Loon was that these balloons can actually hover. When they started, they would just travel and they go up into the stratosphere. So they're about 50,000 feet above the air travel. And where the balloons can just coast along. But apparently they've learned how they can hover. And I've seen hovering ones, and now I know what they are. And I'm wondering why those aren't on our flight radar here, because they're the same ones, I believe, that are just hovering over these areas that are problematic to development, have harbored gorillas forever, particularly in the Colombian area. It's interesting. Zoom in, take a look, tell me what you think. Is that a big brother? It's time to get our eyes peeled. Big time. Because there's going to be, as I'm saying, these shifts, and they're not going to make sense unless you start to look at them as shifts towards Agenda 2030 and the new vision of sustainability, care of the United Nations, who, by the way, has been directing all this traffic and has led us down this garden path to where we are today, where I have to go close up my house and get back here before lockdown so that my parents are cared for. This is who the world should be thanking for all of this, is the United Nations, globalization, and of course you know who, the World Health Organization. This was a plan right from the beginning. And we're being maneuvered. But all we can do is look from a realistic frame, be calm, and be ready to move and groove, because that's what's going to be required here. I wouldn't doubt if we come out of this and there's no more money, no more paper. They're going to take every single opportunity they can. This is all by design. So let's start comparing notes, what we're seeing on the ground, because that's super important. It's those little things, like the esthetician and the letter that was delivered last week, saying that they needed notes to take people for procedures that say they don't have COVID-19. This is how we know they're setting the table, and we know these things were pre-planned. In any case, I'm going to get packed and on my way. It's a gorgeous day out and there's not a chemtrail in the sky. So I'm going to get out there and get a good walk in and get ready to get on my way. Got lots to do, and I know you do too. Let's keep in touch. And if you haven't subscribed, stick with me on this journey. And hopefully we can provide each other with support in these challenging times that we've never seen before. But you know what? We're pretty amazing people. And we're going to have to dig deep. It's going to be required.